Hey, folks, this is Rabble Rousing Rich Bergeron.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Tornado Tony Petticoat.
Second, Tom has his crystal ball ready to go.
All right. Wow. We had quite an eventful week here up in New Hampshire. Found out we got my house sold. We're just talking about it off air, but I could have got some gambling tips probably if I sold it to the guy I wanted to sell it to, but it wasn't up to me. Anyway, we'll probably have some big condos up here or some obnoxious McMansion at the end of the whole process. But well, bottom line is, I got some funds to figure this shit out. Coming anyway. We had a lot of fights over the weekend. I did not win enough to pay for the house myself, unfortunately. I did.
Did the referees really screw you over?
No referees. Referees were good. I have to say, sorry, Tony, your 76ers lost the big NBA game.
Oh, yeah.
Seventh game.
You know what? Here's the thing is, the coach needed to go. You know, it's 3 years in a row, and you don't make adjustments.
Yeah.
And your guys don't seem motivated to play. You know who I think they would need as a coach would be Teddy Atlas. They'd come back like, you know, or what do they do, like in shifts or whatever? I know hockey has like shifts and lines. I don't really know what basketball does. But these guys would like come back to the bench, and people come back to the bench, and Teddy Atlas would be sitting there. Like, you know what? No. Don't sit down. Because it's obvious, you know, I'll sit here because I want to go out. I'm here to fight. You know, you're not.
Right.
You know, to paraphrase it. Like, you know, Teddy has you don't want to play, you know, don't even bother in this corner. That's what this team needs.
Right. Yeah, it was a bad one.
Like
a bad one in game one for the Celtics.
The boxing matches this weekend because I watched two cards, and they should have flip-flopped Jack Reese and Tony Weeks.
Yeah. Oh boy, I've been reading about this, but I don't.
Way too long.
I didn't actually see it.
Got seriously hurt. Butler. I'm not even going to pronounce the other guy's name. And then the other fight with the guy looked like he was about 112 years old, but he was kicking the crap out of Ronnie Romero.
Right.
He gets hit with two punches and Tony Weeks stops the fight.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you guys need to be rule reverse. Like Jack Reese would have been like, no, let's keep going. This is going good. And then Tony Weeks would have stopped that other one after the first knockdown.
Yeah, when I did some fights at the Cosmopolitan, I rode up on the elevator with Tony Weeks. I recognized him, but I didn't ask him for an interview, unfortunately. I just was like respecting his privacy, but he looked like a referee for sure. Very quiet dude.
I've never met Tony. The one card I was at in Vegas a couple years ago, I met Kenny Bayless. We were walking at the same time, and I talked to him for a minute. I've never met Tony, but one time, our mutual friend, that might have been Iceman Scully or somebody in the boxing community, had put a post up. Tony had commented on it, and the ironic thing about Tony Weeks, he looks a lot like my one old trainer from Philadelphia. And I said to him, I said, bro, you look so much like my old South Philly trainer. It's not even funny. And I actually did a photo of me and my trainer together, and he was like, yeah, I see that.
Nice. Yeah, so that was a big controversial stoppage. A lot of people were talking about that. You know, it was a big fight over the weekend. And there's been a lot of stuff on the airwaves about the next biggest fight, I guess you could say, is Devin Haney and Lomachenko. Yeah, there's been a lot of trash talk between the two of them. And I saw one particular exchange where Devin Haney was saying that Lomachenko fights dirty all the time. And Lomachenko was like genuinely trying to figure out like what fight was he talking about. Like, When did he fight dirty? Like, he's never fought
I,
dirty in his
I,
life.
I don't, the one thing that really, with Lomachenko that I always got a little concerned about is Lomachenko has that time where he'll get like ultra merciful. He's like, beating up somebody pretty bad. I remember that in some of his earlier fights, and then I know he did that when he was fighting.
Comey, he told him to stop it.
Yeah, he told me, and then Comey ended up coming back and going the distance. So yeah, I was like, oh my god, I kept wanting to say Joshua Clyde, and thank you for getting the right name for me, Richard Comey. And he had Comey hurt. He had him hurt, and he was like yelling at the corner, like, stop this fight, stop this fight. Well, you know what happens? Like, you could be saying, that guy lands a right hand. You might be, in La La Land.
Right.
Who has the most to lose in this fight? What do you guys think? I mean, if Loma loses, in one sense, he's almost expected to. He's a 3-1 dog last that shot.
Yeah.
But if Haney loses, wow, then there's going to be a lot of acquisitions there. Well, who'd you guys fight? You got that Australian guy. Yeah, this could be interesting.
Yeah, that's a great point, Tommy. I thought Haney has more to lose because he is the younger guy. When Lomachenko loses, he's starting to get a little long in the tooth. Great career, but you could see, he's starting to age. I mean, what did he have? Like 400 and some amateur fights. He was like 396 and 1 or something ridiculous like that. This guy's been in the ring a long time, and he, had a lot of wear and tear. So the fact that he's starting to slow down, starting to show his age, is, nothing that's shocking. Now, does he have the skill set to beat Devin Haney? Absolutely, because he is a highly skilled fighter. But you figure Haney being the younger guy, being the bigger guy, he is favored to win. So if he does not win, do you lose to a great opponent? Yes. Is he young enough where he can come back? Absolutely. But I still think he has more to lose.
I think he's going to look like, what's his name? Just at the top of my head. Guy who fought not too long ago. Just had it in my head. Anyway, we'll get back to it. But, man, why can't I think of this guy's name now? I'm picturing him in my head. I can't think of it. Anyway, so I think he's gonna be going in against Haney. Haney's like very crafty. He's very reach oriented. He doesn't put himself in danger a lot. He uses the ring, and Lomachenko is all about footwork and angles. So it's all about how he can trap him in a corner, make him fight a brutal fight, and just fight on the inside, which is going to have to be up against the ropes in most cases, because Haney's going to just dance around. He's going to use every inch of the ring and hit him from a distance. Because I'm pretty sure he's got to be a couple inches in reach over Lomachenko. Lomachenko's got kind of more of a stocky build. Devin might even be an inch or two taller. So it's going to be a distance fight if Haney's smart about it. And I just don't see it unless Lomachenko has completely reinvented himself and went back 5 years in time. I don't think he can hang with the younger Haney, and I think Haney is just more naturally talented. Yeah, maybe he doesn't have the bigger names on his resume, but like you said, Tony, Lomachenko could make it his fight. Could easily make it a brawl, but is Devin Haney going to sink into a brawl? Or is he going to avoid it at every step? I think he's going to avoid it at every step, and it's going to help him to avoid it instead of making it look like he's scared and running. Like, wow, that was a tactical fight. Caleb Plant. That's who I'm thinking of. Caleb Plant. His last fight. That's how it's going to be. You're going to say, Jesus Christ. Man, this guy Lomachenko has some amazing heart, but just couldn't get couldn't get his shit together enough to get this one. That's basically what happened to Caleb Plant in his last fight. Anyway, so Rolando Romero got the TKO. He improved to 15-1 last week in Vegas. Of course, it was the 13th, even though it was on Friday. It was Saturday, the 13th. So unlucky day for Ismael Barroso. Got a little bit more experience. Coming in at 24-3-2, takes the fourth loss, and it's for the WBA World Super Lightweight title. And then, that's the next biggest one on the fight. I bet on this one, actually, and I think I parlayed it with something that didn't win, like Celtics by 10 or something like that. What the hell it was. Rancis Barthélemy, 29-2-1. He beat Omar Juarez, who's 14-1. He got the majority decision win. But guy I saw live out in Vegas a couple times myself. Good fighter. Although I still think he got beat by that the guy from frickin' Afghanistan or whatever it was. Pakistan. No, it was Afghanistan, I think. Emigrated to Canada. And Albert Bell was in action last weekend. Undefeated Albert Bell. When you hear that name, I know you probably think of that elbow from the baseball playing Albert Bell. But no, this guy throws punches. 22-0. He won a unanimous decision over William Encarnacion, who came in at 20 wins, 4 losses. And that was for the WBO NABO Super Featherweight Championship. You remember that Albert Bell elbow, Tony?
I don't. I remember Albert Bell. I don't remember the elbow.
It must have been during a Red Sox game, and that's why I remember it. But man, he friggin' clotheslined the guy, trying to steal a base or a caught between the two bases in a pickle. He put his elbow out there and just literally clotheslined the guy with his elbow. Yeah, he got in a lot of trouble. It was like a big fine. Albert Bell. I always think of that play every time I hear his name. It was when baseball became combat sports for a night. No, there wasn't any other fisticuffs afterwards, but yeah. It was a bad one. All right, so let's check out what we got coming up this weekend.
Aside from my big fundraiser?
You got that fundraiser. Is that the one where you're the Grand Marshal?
That's right, the Ambassador Grand Marshal. Nice. I was talking to Hank Fisco's daughter tonight, and she sent me the itinerary. And because Hank, when he had gotten sick, said he wanted me to kind of take over the role of ambassador. And of course, I would never say no to that. So they give me the itinerary. Now, the last few years, because 2021, you're really coming back from COVID, and then last year, everything was kind of a clusterfuck. But this year, they have an itinerary, and each person has 2 to 3 minutes to talk, where they gave us 4 minutes. And Hank's daughter was she's on the phone, and going 1 million miles a minute. She goes, I can't get up there and talk. I'm like, you're talking fine right now. I said, are you really your father's daughter? Because Hank would have no problem going up there and filming not just 4 minutes, but 40 minutes. We'd always have to give him the hook. He'd be at a dinner event, and we'd be like, all right, get him off the floor, get him the hook, So I say, I'll be doing that. I'll be in costume. I'll be ringing the bell like Apollo Creed, ding, ding. And, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, tell us about this Rocky podcast you're on, too. We haven't got the...
Oh, Tom, did you hear about that? Yeah. So, I had become friends with the guy who's a professional Rocky impersonator a couple years ago. And he's originally from Scranton. He lives in Philly now. And he looks a lot like Sylvester Stallone, especially with the sagging in his eyes a little bit. And he's an Italian guy, and he has the accent there. He wears the fedora. He dresses like Rocky. So he'll go out there and he'll be like, hey, Paulie, I don't know, but what's the problem, Paulie? And he does it really good. So we've talked a few times, and then I've connected with a whole bunch of different people through this Rocky Circle on Facebook and Instagram. And then they started doing a Rocky podcast. And they've been having different guests on. And I would always comment here, comment there. If I did something Rocky related, whether it was Rocky Run or, something dressing up as Rocky for Halloween or something dressing my dog up or something ridiculous like that, I would always tag them in it. So they would see it. When I ranked the movies, I tagged them in it. So they finally reached out to me a couple weeks ago. They're like, we'd like to finally have you on as a guest. You don't have to ask me twice. So the other day, I purposely scheduled my work that we would do this at 4 o'clock when I got off. I used my work computer, but I blocked it off where nobody could instant message me or nobody could send me any work stuff because I technically was done. Put the whole thing on, logged in. I was where you could see me, so I'm in the full Apollo outfit, and we just went. And they said, we had a list of questions for you, but we didn't have to ask you. And it reminded me of when we had Joey I on the show a couple years ago. We talked about Joe, from him being in some of the movies, and he was in a Rocky lookalike contest with the host a couple years ago. And I said, but when we had Joey on the show, we just basically said, here you go, Joey. Open forum, go. And I said, that's what I'm going to be like on the show. Open forum.
3 hours later.
Go. And we talked about everything. We talked about, I think Rocky to me is like a birthright. I was born in 1976. I was born in Philadelphia, Chestnut Hill, which is right outside North Philadelphia. And I'm Italian. So when I started boxing, that was the fourth piece of it, where I already hit the trifecta.
I love how the graphic that you put out there says "Born Italian."
My grandfather and his uncle, his brother, always smacked me about, that I tried to compare Rocky to Rocky Marciano. And I was sick, and they're like, "That's movie bullshit." Yeah. Oh, that movie bullshit.
Born Italian.
Me getting into the movies, meeting the people, some of the people I've met, doing the whole Apollo gimmick, meeting Carl Weathers like that, meeting Hulk Hogan at the shop. I talked about, boxing for Lock Haven, a whole bunch of stuff, and they brought me on to the 17-minute mark, and I think I finally checked off at around the 50-some minute mark.
Do you know Carl Weathers is doing golf commercials now?
I saw that with the wooden hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
I saw that.
That's awesome. So how do people find this podcast that you're on?
It's on YouTube, and I'm actually going to email you guys the link to it.
All right, I'll put it on the show description.
On YouTube, it's the Rocky Files.
The Rocky Files.
So that's the name of it, the Rocky Files. I am show number 75.
Love it.
Just came out. And what was great is we were talking, they were bringing up pictures. And they were bringing up pictures, from my Instagram, just showing really who I am, too. So they even would have pictures of me just doing other random things,
Yeah.
They had one of me in, an Italian apron, a chef's hat, cooking. Like I said, I talked about Vinny Paz. And I said, he's part of my big three of people that I have to get photos with. I said, I got two of the three. Vinny Paz, Hulk Hogan, and I still need Sylvester Stallone. So...
Nice.
The gentleman that's the host, his name is Mike. When he posted the other day on Instagram about having me on as a guest, and he had pictures of me with Carl Weathers, with Burt Young. He had a side-by-side of me and Carl Weathers. And he sent it to me, and he goes, Sylvester Stallone, because the official Sylvester Stallone page, which is legit, the blue check mark, follows him.
Yeah.
He goes, Sly himself liked your post. You are now on his radar.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
Well, unfortunately, he lost control of the franchise.
He wasn't live for my audition in 2005.
Yeah.
He watched every audition. So he did see my audition for the White Trash Bar Thug.
Wow. Good thing you weren't forever known as White Trash, Tony.
That's right.
Anyway, so that's awesome. More power to you. I still haven't written my letter to our boy Dan Severn, but we're gonna make it impressive. I put all the dots together today. I found the Mark Coleman interview and a couple other links put together to send them. And yeah, so we'll be working on that next for our next guest. And of course, we always got to figure out a way to get John Scully on again.
Oh yeah.
I wish I had known that this week was going to be one of the biggest fights in Ireland that we've had in a while. Because fortunately, I guess unfortunately now, I wish I'd known because I would have given my buddy my press passes and got him into the fight because he's there. He's in, I don't know where in Ireland he is. He's in Ireland. I mean, can't be that big that you can't get to Dublin, the capital, I guess. It's got to be. So yeah, he's in Ireland right now on vacation. Just actually posted a picture tonight from Ireland. Yeah, and even if he was just a photographer, I got into the event. I bet you would have loved to go. This is a big fight, female fight too. He's there with his wife, so wife would have had some entertainment because it's a female fight. Two undefeated women, Chantel Cameron, 17-0, and Katie Taylor, 22-0, so for a shit ton of titles. We got the IBF, IBO, WBA, WBC, and WBO, all on the line at super lightweight. I don't know a heck of a lot about Chantel Cameron. They both got their own belts, so this one's going to be pretty interesting. Super lightweight bout. And then we got Dennis Hogan, number 7 in the world at super welterweight. He's 31-4-1, fighting James Metcalf, 24-2 for their own little title, the IBO World Super Welterweight title. And then we've got another Cecilia Brækhus, who is 37-2 at super welterweight, which is crazy for a female. It's just wild stuff. She is the WBA World Super Welterweight Champion, I believe. That's probably. She's number 2 in the world, and number 3 is Terry Harper, her opponent. So I think Cecilia's got to be the title. Doesn't say vacant. Terry Harper's coming in 13-1-1. Super welterweight. So yeah, that's just the main ones. I don't know what the other supporting ones are. Under 2 stars. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal out there in Ireland. We got our Elvis fight of the week from Greenwich, Connecticut, the Hyatt Regency. We got Elvis Figueroa, undefeated at 12-0, fighting Devon Lee, who's 11-8-1. So Elvis will probably stay undefeated. And then speaking of undefeated, we get to the Devin Haney card. We've also got another undefeated guy, Junto Nakatani, 24-0, fighting Andrew Maloney, who's 25-2 at the weight class that everybody wants to be in just because it's the name. Superfly. Super flyweight. WBO World Super Flyweight. Title on the line that's vacant. Nakatani number 4 in the world. Maloney number 9. And then we got Lomachenko. Deceiving record of 17-2. Fighting Devin Haney, looking for win number 30 with a big name. He's undefeated, 29-0. I don't know how many knockouts offhand, but he has managed himself for a lot of his career, basically, and built his own promotional company, and just all around fast rising, fast moving American boxing star, really. Lomachenko comes in. He's had a couple difficult fights, had some wars. Had a lot of amateur experience, as Tony mentioned earlier. And this one's just going to be a matter of who makes the fight their own. If Devin Haney can make it a tactical outside the range of Lomachenko fight and stay off the ropes, stay out of the corners, I think he wins this fight. If Lomachenko brings him to deep water, gets him in close range, lands a couple hard shots that Devin has never experienced before, and uses his footwork to back him into corners, get him against the ropes, and it's Lomachenko's fight. So it's one of those like, which guy is going to show up? Is it going to be the Lomachenko that takes charge, or the Lomachenko that tries to use his unique strategy to win, but just falls short because Haney is just not good? It's going to be a toss-up, basically. You're going to have to be like waiting to see the first couple rounds to really decide who's definitely going to win. But I got the feeling in my, experience watching a little bit of Haney, watching a little bit of Lomachenko, that Haney just has too much natural ability. Lomachenko is sort of fading. And
the size advantage.
Yeah. Lomachenko's got to be taller. He's going to have a little bit. Lomachenko's going to be shorter, I should say. Haney's going to have the reach advantage, I believe. And really, Lomachenko has to make it not a dirty fight, but a close range fight. And
not make any mistakes.
Yep.
And that's going to be awful hard to do.
And he basically has to be very aggressive, I think. Because Haney's probably going to win it with his jab. That's how he's going to win it. Just straight punches and mostly the jab. He's a very fast jabber. So Lomachenko, he's got like one of them deceptive up jabs. Sometimes he friggin' pivots and then hits you with the 1-2, and like it's just all kinds of crazy angles that he comes from. But can Devin Haney just watch a bunch of tape and figure that out? See that good? Can he just adjust to it on the fly? My time ran out. I gotta stop. That's the dryer. Or is Devin Haney gonna get schooled because Lomachenko has so much more experience? That's the other possibility. It's gonna be probably one of the best fights we've seen this year, I think, if it delivers. But I just don't know. Lomachenko has just kind of looked like he's just fallen just short of his potential right now. He's just kind of fading a little bit. Whether that's because he's just been in with the best of the best his whole entire professional career or what, I don't know. Once again, he's getting thrown right to the lion. Devin Haney here, and Devin wants that 30th win. So if I had to, I'm probably gonna bet on this one. I'm probably gonna bet both sides of it too, but Devin Haney by decision, I'd say. I think he's going to knock Lomachenko out. There is a little bit of bad blood, but not enough to make him want to hurt him. I think he would be better off in his mind to just dominate the entire 12 rounds of the fight. Devin Haney could be bragging rights forever if he did that. So I think Lomachenko, if anybody, would be the one to knock out Haney. You'd have to catch him in a real bad situation. But we'll see. I think anything can happen. Anything can happen. I probably will be watching. I'll try to find a way to watch it. All right. Then we got not much on the undercard there. But what do you guys think about that main event?
I agree.
Hello?
Yep. I agree with your analysis.
All right.
It's going to be a rough night for Loma. My heart's with him, though.
Yeah.
But my head's not.
Well,
it's like you want him so bad to be that brawler that he used to be, where he was just wrecking people because they couldn't figure him out, and he had so much power. But Devin Haney ain't going to stand still for that power.
If Loma's going to win, he's got to be a step or two ahead. And that's why he was winning so many fights, a few years ago. And he was just battering guys and he was beating them down because they would call him like the Matrix. Once he'd figure a guy out, he'd be 2 steps ahead of him. So if that guy would go to throw a jab, he'd already be like chess move. He'd already have his third counter set up. He'd counter 3 punches before they were even thrown. But like he can do that against a bigger guy like Haney. I think what Haney's going to have to do is just put gloves on. You know, whether you're punching him in the shoulder, whether you're putting your body again on his body, and using your size advantage, your strength advantage, fighting him on the inside, you roughing them up a little bit. And I think here's how I see this fight going. In the beginning, first 2 rounds, Lomachenko is going to be in his, figuring out mode. Because he usually would give those few rounds away. And he did it the one fight, I think it was the Teofimo Lopez fight, where by the time he started getting uncorked, it was too late. He'd already given up the first 6 rounds. But I think the first 2 rounds, he's going to go into that, like, processing, as they call it, where he's seeing what the other guy's doing and he's trying to process it. And I think Haney, if he's smart, is going to use those first 2 rounds to touch him somehow. Punch him in the shoulders, punch him, on the ribs, on the chest, anywhere he can put his glove. If he can, get inside and use any type of rough tactics in there with the superior size. From rounds 3 through maybe round 6, Lomachenko's going to have some advantages with that matrix type moving. Those funny angles, that very awkward type of southpaw style.
That ballet footwork.
As it goes down the stretch, Haney being the younger, fresher guy is what's going to allow him to take back control and win a decision, maybe along the lines of like a 116, 112, maybe a 115, 113.
Yeah. Well then. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be a pretty wide decision, but Lomachenko has that puncher's chance. It's probably going to be a really high payout on a bet if he's 3-1 odds. I don't know. I haven't checked the odds myself on DraftKings, but it's going to be crazy. On Sunday, if you're up in the Niagara Falls area, you can watch an undefeated guy named Lucas Body, BHDI, who is 13-0, fight our Jesus Fight of the Week candidate, Jesus Amperon, who is 20-3. Title fight. Actually, it's for the IBF North American lightweight title. And then we got a heavyweight fight before we get on the air next Thursday. We've got action in Melbourne, Australia. Joseph Parker, 31-3, fighting Faiga Opalu, who's 15-3-2 for the drumroll please Commonwealth Boxing Council heavyweight title. Not what we're used to see Joseph Parker fighting for. He's usually fighting for bigger stuff than that, but it's just a local deal. And then we got Angel Fight of the Week next week. It looks like Friday. We'll get to that later. And we got on the Rocky subject earlier. I wanted to mention this last week. I kind of introduced it, but never got to it. Talking about a guy connected to Rocky who was really sick. Dolph Lundgren supposedly had terminal cancer. He had it diagnosed, and then he got a second opinion. So I read this whole article thinking, oh, geez, Dolph Lundgren's going to die. And then, gets 3/4 through the article, and I'm like, oh, he got a second opinion. But started with a tumor in his kidney. They took that out in 2015. And then it's basically came back. They gave a couple years to live because it had spread. And the first doctor said it was too big for surgery, and it already spread to his lungs, spine, liver, and stomach before he was eventually told that it was terminal. So then he asked, how much time do I got left? And they told him like 2 or 3 years. So he decided to get a second opinion. And then it says, within 3 months, things were shrinking. Now we're in the process of taking out the remaining scar tissue of those tumors. The prognosis is that hopefully when they take these out, that there's no cancer activity, and the medication that I'm taking is going to suppress everything else. So, medicine and biopsies for the rest of his life, but he may live a lot longer.
Yeah, I was watching the interview with him the other day when he was talking about that, and it was shocking because you didn't hear anything about it. It was very hush hush, and then you think, oh my God, this happened within the last few months, maybe.
Yeah.
No, 2015, the last 8 years.
Yeah.
And you figure, I saw him 5 years ago in 2018. He looked great. And with your advances in medicine now, like sometimes they'll say, okay, this is inoperable. I'll give you a perfect example. Was Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs, they had him on last rites. They said this was the end, and he's now multiple-time world champion since that. So, are there things they can do that maybe are a little experimental or a little out of the box that will work? Yeah, you learn something new every day.
Right. Yeah, and it's kind of a shame, but a lot of times it's the people with the most money who find out these sure thing cures because they're willing to spend the money to get the relief outside of the system, because no system is going to cover those experimental treatments, especially if they're more all natural and don't have 9 side effects that you can also make money off of. So it's up to them too to pass it on. They hardly ever do. Like, they hardly ever tell you what it is that they took. Anyway, sad. We hope he beats it. Anyway, we also had a story last week of a fighter who died at a Manny Pacquiao event. A guy named Kenneth Ngannou died at 22 years old. Collapsed in the ring, and Manny Pacquiao is like stood by him and his family and everything like that. And he actually, I think, won the fight. He got knocked down. It's the guy who lost the fight who dies. Suffered a brain hemorrhage and went into a coma. Pacquiao paid all the medical bills for him while he was hospitalized, and the promotion paid for all the flights for his parents to go see their son. And he ended up dying. So, I'm sure Pacquiao's all blown out of shape about it. And this comes at a time too when Conor McGregor is on Pacquiao now to pay him $8 million or something he made in a lawsuit that he won for the paradigm management or whatever that Conor's involved in. Manny went around their agreement, so he got found liable for all kinds of millions. It's like when it rains, it pours. Shit happens, it piles up. Another big news event before we get to the UFC stuff. There's a couple big points of news on the Francis Ngannou front. He has signed this massive deal with Professional Fighters League, and it involves a lot of new and intriguing angles of leadership roles, and he's got a whole agency, Africa, PFL Africa, that he's going to be in charge of, and just unprecedented agreements. And he's also talking about boxing first, but there's been nothing released about who he's going to box, except for the long-standing talk that's been around about Tyson Fury fighting him in a hybrid style of fight. But that hasn't been talked about months and months and months. So I don't know if that's still on the table even. But anyway, Francis Ngannou is apparently going to box first, and then they're going to figure out what fight to pair him with on like their exclusive pay-per-view events that they're going to be doing. So they'll probably put him on the same card as Jake Paul for his first MMA fight. It would be crazy. Anyway, so that's that news. Now we had some entertaining fights last week, that's for sure. Didn't quite go as well as I thought they would betting wise. I really thought that Johnny Walker versus Anthony Smith was going to end in the first round. Just thought that was going to be the inevitable conclusion with those two going at each other, but it turned out to be a technical fight. Anthony Smith got the worst of it. Johnny Walker just was very patient. He probably could have knocked Anthony Smith out earlier in the fight, but he just was very cautious, very patient, and got the job done. So that kind of screwed up a bunch of my parlays. But I got Carlos Ulberg by TKO in the first round. I had that down. As I said during the show last week, I knew Matt Brown was going to beat Court McGee. Just knew it. Did not expect it to be a first round knockout. I figured it'd be TKO or submission. You know, well, even though Brown doesn't have a ton of submissions, he's got like one or two. But yeah, I figured it'd probably be by knockout. Early win. Carl Williams beat Chase Sherman by decision. Douglas Silva DeAndrade beat Cody Stamann by unanimous decision as well. Alex Morono versus Tim Means. That was a little bit of a surprise. I figured I had a lot of parlays with Tim Means winning that fight, and he was winning early, but ended up just getting himself caught, and then it's a very simple mistake. One mistake made, and boom, he's in the guillotine choke. Submission done. And so that blew up a lot of my parlays, but you know, I had a pretty diverse betting pool going on. So I won a couple. And the main event, Jailton Almeida versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I knew that one was going to end in the first round, but I did not expect Almeida to get the first round submission. I think I did. I think I had a couple bets, but I expected more of the knockout than the submission. And I figured Jairzinho could get a knockout too, so I had him in a couple lineups. Not to be. I didn't win any money on the heavyweights. I almost won $548 on a double chance decision parlay where I had Ian Gary in like the fifth of the 5-leg parlays, and 4 of them had paid off to that point. And Ian Gary had to win by knockout. No, by submission for me to win. Or he had to win by submission, or Daniel Rodriguez by decision. It was one of those type of bets. And so I actually was going to go on a wood delivery, and I stayed back to watch the fight. I was pissed. He did not win by submission. He won by head kick and punches, and took Daniel Rodriguez out in the first round, which I did not expect at all. I would have never picked that to be a first round stoppage.
Brutal.
That had to be incredible odds. TKO in the first for that one. I don't remember what it could have been, but probably 700 or above for him to do that in the first. Yeah, and then there was the other one that actually won me some money, Mandy Bohm. She had to win by TKO or decision. TKO, DQ, or decision. Got to mention that because I thought immediately when I tuned in, it was at the point where the referee was like going over and taking stock of what was going on, and you know, asking the doctors to come in, and then they had to review the freaking video, and then I'm like, okay, so this lady's being disqualified. I'm like, I won this bet. You know, it's a $57 bet, my biggest bet of the weekend. Won. So I was like, oh, great. And then, you know, I'm like, so it's a it's a TKO or it's a disqualification. I mean, and then they go, nope, we're going to decision. I'm like, oh, geez, well, that better be enough points taken off over this time for Mandy to win this fight. And sure enough, she just scraped it out. A technical decision, even though it was a split decision. Mandy Bone got that, so that won me that 3 or 4 leg parlay. I think it was 4 leg. And Brian Battle was in that parlay too. Brian Battle getting the knockout in the first round. I did not have him as a first round knockout winner, but I had him as a knockout winner. And I didn't even realize when I made that bet that he was fighting in his hometown, his home state. So he knocked out Gabriel Green. Not only knocked him out, did it in 14 seconds. 14 seconds. Also had Tainara Lisboa by submission on one of my cards. Parlays. So I had one other like $10 one that paid off, or $15 one, something like that. I don't remember what it was. But I did have, I think, Alex Morono by submission in one of my double choice picks. He was part of my winning one. So that was last week. And then we've got UFC Fight Night, I guess, with a female fight in the lead spot. McKenzie Dern, 12-3, fighting Angela Hill, who's 15-12. I'm gonna probably go with McKenzie in this one. I like Angela. She's a tough young lady, but she just always gets herself in these really, really tough fights, and I think McKenzie will find a way to submit her. I don't know what submission defense is. Speaking of Rocky, we got Rocky Raccoon out here patrolling the grounds, looking for the free food. So McKenzie's 12-3. Angela's 15-12. So I guess Angela's got the edge in experience alone. She's got heart too. She'll probably go decision if it's not an early submission. Co-main event, we've got Edmund Shabazian, 12-3, fighting Anthony Hernandez, who's 10-2 at middleweight. You got Emily Ducote, 12-7, fighting Lupita Godinez, who's 9-3. That's a 120-pound catchweight fight. And Andre Fiallo, 16-6 at welterweight, fighting Joaquin Buckley, who's 15-6. Diego Ferreira, who is 17-5 at lightweight, fighting Michael Johnson, 21-18. That's going to be an interesting one. Johnson is just a very, sometimes very menacing fighter. He calls himself the menace. But yeah, 21-18. It's a very deceiving record. He's a very tough guy. Mahashet Hayazer, who is 9-2, fighting Vyacheslav Borshev, who's 6-3 at lightweight. And we got Carolina Kowalkiewicz. She's 14-7, fighting Vanessa Demopoulos, who is 9-4. Fifth fight of the night, Orion Kosuke, who is 8-1, fighting Gilbert Urbina, who's 6-2 at welterweight. And then heavyweights, Ilir Latifi, 16-8, fighting Rodrigo Nascimento, who is 9-1 at heavyweight. And Chase Hooper, 11-3-1 at lightweight, fighting Nick Fiore, who's 6-1. That's the third fight of the night. Natalia Silva, 14-5-1 at flyweight, fighting Victoria Leonardo, 9-4. The second fight of the night, and then the leadoff fight is Takashi Sato, who's 15-6 at welterweight, fighting Themba Gorimbo, who's 10-4. It's Thailand versus Africa there, I guess. It's an interesting matchup. And we've got actually some Friday night fights, but they're not Bellator. They're actually one championship tomorrow. Talk about Thailand. From the Thailand Stadium, Bangkok. Tomorrow night. And of course, Shirt Dog's going to take forever to probably going to ask me to support their ads. What else? Yep. Continue to share, dog. No, thank you. Okay, so one championship tomorrow night. Come on, load up. Tell me what we got going on. Reload it. Reload. Also, there's been a little bit of scuttlebutt in the news with this Conor McGregor fight. Conor McGregor and Matthew Chandler there. So I don't know what the heck has happened. I'll just close that right out, I guess. By accident. All right. Conor McGregor and Chandler. Michael Chandler, not Matthew. He's still hasn't done any kind of drug testing. Entered the drug testing pool. So that show is actually just starting to be marketed. Ultimate Fighter season. And typically, you know, it's like a month or two after the show has their finale, that the coaches fight. So they're basically saying even if Conor decides to enter the drug testing pool tomorrow, like there's no chance he can fight until November or December. So people that were hoping for that fight sooner, probably not going to happen. Probably not going to happen. All right, let's get back to this. Oh, geez. 9 PFL fighters face sanctions after testing positive for banned substances. There's a headline. Okay, so one championship. Let's get back to that. I'm sure dog crashed out my computer. It's called One Friday Fights. 17, number 17. Friday Night Fights. Continues to try. It's like they're trying to get me to do a survey or something. Anyway, I guess we'll find out next week what happened at the one championship. And I guess that's it for us. Already approaching 10:30 here.
Yeah, I've been up since 3:30 a.m., so I'm about to crash.
Yikes. So actually,
yeah, I drank too much water yesterday from trying to flush my system out. My body woke me up at 3:30, then I couldn't fall back to sleep.
Yeah, crazy. Before we go, let me just go through this list of the busted fighters for banned substances. This PFL thing, this is bad. There's a lot of guys, one league. Alejandro Flores Garcia, Christoph Jotko, Bruno Capoloza, Rizvan Kuniev, Mohamed Fakhreddin, Cesar Ferreira, Will Flory, Daniel Torres, and Thiago Santos. All of them competed at PFL events held on April 1st, April Fool's Day. You tested positive. April 7th or April 14th. Nevada State Athletic Commission. 6 months for one guy. Furosemide was his banned substance. Victory was overturned. Jotko was suspended 6 months, fined $6,800. Doesn't say what he tested positive for. Capoloza was found with drostanolone. That sounds funny. Kuniev, oh geez, he had a whole cocktail of shit in him. 4 goddamn banned substance. Bacardine had 3. Herrera had clomiphene and androstanolone. Yeah, wow. A lot of common stuff, though. Crazy. So, yeah. I guess that's it for us. Until next week.
All right, guys.
Maybe we'll have Dan. Dan
Oh,
Severn,
yes.
the beast. We'll work on it. Figure it out. Adios.